Okay, so Netherlands in the house. So this is it. This is the live stream commencing now. So those of you tuned in are probably aware. I'm Noah Pred. I'm the lead developer at Manifest Audio. I'm also a Ableton certified trainer, and that was a tune from myself and a talented fellow Canadian known as the Mole. And yeah, I did a little homework here pre-prepping our minimal house jam, as I sensed that if you're tuning in, you probably don't need to see me create a kick loop. But yeah, so I've got a few little starting points, and we're gonna go from there. And the purpose of this session is to show off what some of these tools I built can do in a purpose-driven setting of actually making music, and in the process, hopefully, helping me make some music, because as I've become increasingly obsessed with developing these tools for all of you, I'm not making as much music as I once did, and so hopefully the pressure of these sessions will help me do that. So Live 12.1 obviously just came out yesterday, which is awesome. I don't know how many of you all are using it yet, but we're going to look at a few Live 12.1 features today as well. And just a word on the genre, one of the more powerful production techniques I find is just to give oneself some constraints, some arbitrary limitations from the outset to ensure that there's some directionality to what you're doing. And I plan to explore some other genres in future sessions, so these will not by any means strictly be minimal house oriented. I just felt that was like a maybe welcoming and comfortable starting point. Welcome Kev Human, what's up? Everybody shouting out in the chat. This is awesome. Okay, so let's dive in. I have this kick here, and I thought that I would use a lot of the drift instrument racks I devised, but then also it's the 20-year anniversary of Operator. So I got a couple Operator patches I put in there as well. We might start with those. And the drum rack, of course, is populated with the new drum sampler, which is awesome. Columbia in the building. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we're gonna dive into maybe some of the sound similarity once I've got some sounds going. So sometimes you just have to start somewhere, and that somewhere for me is very often just starting with a beat. And so one of my favorite things to do now with Live 12.1 is use some of the chance groups for notes. And you can do this melodically to say, hey, play either this note at that time or this note at that time. But a new technique I've discovered that I rather enjoy is to take, let's say, a couple of these rim shots, and I'm going to do 4 of them like so. And we've got our little pattern going here. And I'm going to say, in the first half of our bar here, play only one of these 2 rims, and then I'm going to do the same here as well with these second 2. So it's going to be a little more sparse, and each pass through, it's going to play one or the other, and sometimes it's kind of hard to tell with the latency where I'm oriented. A little clap will help me figure out exactly where we are in the loop. Okay, and now I can do the same thing with a snare. Let's go and just make it a little more lively with some velocity deviation, so I can just hold down Command while I click and drag there. And very similarly, I just want some snares to play, potentially to play on these beats where we do not have the rim. So again, half and half. I'm going to select them and say, play just one of those, please. Okay, So this is nothing too exciting, but yeah, let's go ahead and do some hi-hats, which, you know, this is kind of obligatory, being a house track and all. So now I'm going to do something similar for at least this first clip, which is, again, play one. So it's going to play either the open hat or the closed hat. And before I go ahead and duplicate this around, I'm going to just grab C note. That's the problem. I grabbed a play one instance of that note. So I want another shaker here with a little deviation, a little less chance. Option drag it over. I guess that's Alt on PC. And now I'm just going to select and duplicate that whole thing. Okay, so it's going to play either the closed hat or the open hat on that upbeat. And I think we need a little more vibe to this. I'm going to come back to these drums and expand on them in a moment, but let's go to this bass track. So I've got a very typical house bass kind of sound going, which I made an operator, quick little operator recipe. I've got 2 parallel FM oscillator configurations, one with coarse tuning up to going through the main sine wave down here, and on this other parallel band I've got this one with a square wave modulating it ever so slightly, and that one the carrier is tuned up 3 coarse ratio factors. And the problem today is that with the incredible latency while streaming, I can't really play notes in live, but that's okay because we have MIDI tools. So we're just gonna use some of those. And with the you know, minimal house sort of vibe I'm going for, one thing that can be really interesting that I hear quite often is just little sort of turnaround at the end of every 2-bar phrase. That's a very common in a lot of house music on the bass line. And so I'm just going to select this span here, and I don't want it to go up all those octaves, so I'm going to drop those down. And yeah, there are various ways I could adjust this, but this is one of our MIDI tools that I've developed. I could tell it not to play on certain notes in a variety of ways, but let's just take a listen to this. Okay, so there's a bit of glide on there, which I don't want to really be hearing, so I'm just going to shorten these a bit. Okay, and I don't really want a kick or obscuring the bass line or vice versa. So I'm just going to slide that one over so the kick has its own little territory there. And I'm going to drop that note down an octave. Cool. Okay, now I'm going to duplicate this out. So just select the loop brace, Command D. And the second time around, I think I want a little bit longer of a phrase before this turnaround. And so, yeah, I'm just going to, first maybe delete that and select this span and do another little, randomization here. So try and avoid some of those same notes kind of going up in the same direction. So I might just go to here and invert those 2 notes so they're flipped around. And again, I feel like that should be, there we go, down an octave. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that all one more time and move this up a little bit. Yeah, so it just ends a little differently. That's a little too high. Maybe just 1 scale degree above. And so, hey, welcome. There's more people landing in the chat. Amato, Andrew, how is it going? This is super fun. Okay, for me at least. Hopefully for you as well. All right, bassline version 1. Let's call that V1. And I think it's workable. And again, sorry I didn't mention I set D minor today for whatever reason. Now let's get back to that drum rack. and do some similarly duplicative edits. And so yeah, duplicate that. And what I'm kind of attempting to do here is to create what I end up calling a parent clip, which will contain all the possibilities within it, which I can then duplicate and select elements from, as you'll see later on. Let's go ahead and grab a shaker. I think the hi-hats, both of these are a little too busy, so I'm going to drop their chance down. Actually, this one should be more likely because I don't want the hi-hats to always, the open hats rather, to always be so long. So you're getting some insight to my process and my vaguely OCD approach to handling some of these things. But yeah, so now for this next MIDI tool I want to use, I need to go and reference which keys these two notes are on. David, Element, welcome. Okay, so which MIDI notes are those? This is receiving D2 and C#2. Okay, that's going to be helpful information. I just have to make sure I can remember that. So I'm going to go to our converser, which is going to allow me to create a calling response between not C1, which is the kick drum apparently, and it seems to have eradicated our kick drums in the process. That's interesting. Something to note for the future. Easily remedied. Okay, C#2? No. Which was it? There we go. D#2 and C2. C#2. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure about that one sound, but so I kind of raced through that as I was trying to navigate to the correct MIDI notes. But what's happening is we're creating this conversation. As you can see, those two synth perks, which, yeah, D2, there we go. I'm going to delete all of those. And, yeah, D2. Okay, cool. Just turn this off, the auto-generate. Okay, there we go. So I have this weighting, so I can say, let's play one note more than the other. And they're both at 75% density overall. So Syn Perk 237, that's on the right side of the equation, that's on the D2, so it's playing more often than the other. Okay, there we go. Now I've got this call and response between these two elements that are really doing some work here. I like it. I'm going to turn the auto, whoops. I'm just going to click in the clip to reset what they call the apply cycle. And now I'm just going to fold this down so we can get rid of all those unused notes and duplicate this one more time. Okay, and so then all of that is great. It's great. I love it, but it's a little busy and it's a little repetitive. So I'm going to adjust their velocity deviation, maybe bring their bass velocity up, and turn the preview off because that's also kind of annoying. And now just bring all their chants down so they're more spacious. And now we can go and play with the drum sampler on those. Okay, so here we go. I want to play around with the stretch. There we go. Okay, and we do have some velocity coming in, and I'm going to set that to effects 2, which is going to be the grain. I'm going to apply it to the grain. Let's apply it negatively because I don't want to go higher. Getting funny tuning stuff going on. Yeah. Okay, so that's just making that sound a little more interesting. And actually, the open hi-hat, I was playing around earlier, and I've got some of the FM on there. So now you can hear sort of the vanilla hi-hat, and here with some FM, just adding a little sizzle, a little digital sizzle to it, which I will filter up a touch. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go now to my keys. I'll come back to the drums in a bit and create some different clip versions. But I've got this operator keys, again, celebrating the operator 20-year anniversary. Yeah, Kev, I see your question about needing an update for 12.1. The MIDI tools should be updated for 12.1. Global Hub also needed a slight update for 12.1. It's always just best practice to keep all our devices updated. I'm always pushing updates for compatibility, efficiency, and new features, as you're probably aware. But in terms of needing specifically for 12.1, the MIDI tools are important because there's a new way of processing randomization with auto generation and Global Hub as well. But so I've got these chords on the operator, and this is another one of my favorite little operator recipes. Very simple. Again, 2 parallel paths, some basic sine waves, one modulated with a coarse tuning on the modulator, the other one tuned up a little higher for a little more upper harmonics, but crucially modulated by noise with a spread all the way up. And that just gives some interesting tone. So now what I'm gonna do is as I expressed earlier, with the latency issues while streaming, it's very difficult for me to play stuff in real time the way that I would normally want to, but there's a tool for that. So I have got this tool called Exponder, and it's basically going to listen to the MIDI I play in and store it, and then start riffing it back to me. So it's kind of like this ChatGPT concept. You type in some words, and it kind of regurgitates back to you based on those words in a way that may not always be convincing. But in our case, this is just a musical jam bot. It's not using any sophisticated AI or anything. But quick pro tip: if you want it to remember the bank of notes and chords you played in after starting and stopping live transport, put it in long memory mode, or else the memory will get wiped when you start again. So how do I enter notes? Well, I'm just going to toggle into record mode and try to play some nice chords. Okay, and okay, now we're rolling. We can reduce the density. Or increase it, obviously. And we can add some autonomy to play other notes that I didn't add in. And we can syncopate to play notes only on the off beats. And occasionally, if I'm in the mood, bump it up an octave. Okay, so that might get a little intense, but so what I'm going to do now is go to, let's see, which category did I put it in? The MFA X Control Pro. Okay, so I want to map this to the reverb send, and then, okay, cool. So if I adjust that, it's going to the send now. And the reason why I did this on the track is because then I can group all of these into a rack, select and Command G, and I'm going to map this to macro 1, and I'm going to map that octave dial also to macro 1. And this is a concept I like to work with, and that I think the macros in Rax are so powerful for, especially extended with Max for Live to parameters that, you know, are outside of the instrument or effects chain itself. And that is this concept of contingent relationships. So I only want the reverb to go up to maximum when the octave of the output increases. So now I'm going to go and constrain these ranges here, right? So I don't want it to go down to -5. We can barely hear it. And so now I just set the minimum to 0 and set the maximum to 2. I might even reduce that to 1. And so now those higher notes get emphasized, pronounced, enunciated through the reverb, but we don't have reverb muddying up the sort of mid-range chord gestures that are just sort of percolating away here. Okay, nice. So I'll call that octave reverb. That makes sense. And I'm just gonna get rid of all these others because my OCD just wants the one big dial there. Okay, cool. So I am going to get something useful out of this later. For now, I think I'm content to just let it continue percolating away here. And yeah, so I'm going to go back to the bass line and duplicate this one, call it V2. And I'm going to leave that turnaround intact. What I want to do now is add a more consistent sub bass, probably just on or around the root note. So that's the D down here. And so, yeah, I'm going to go, I don't know if I want it too busy, but let's try something like this. Yeah, and this is another chance to explore some of these play one options. So I obviously don't want a chord on the bass, which is a monophonic instrument anyway. So I'm just going to say play one of those 3 notes. Just play one of them. And in fact, I'm going to option drag that over to here and to here as well. And then, yeah, just duplicate that whole span of time. Actually, I don't need to do all that. We'll just option drag again. And I'm going to keep option dragging it because I know there's some turnaround at the end that I don't want to compromise. And okay, cool. So let's hear that one. I think I might want to redo the chords without the low. I played a low chord in there that I'm not super happy with. I like the other chords a lot. Let's see. I'm just going to flip to short mode. That'll clear it. And back to long mode. And see if I can remember which chords I played in. There we go. So there's more room for that low end. And so we got our keys going. We got our bass line. Let's get some shakers going here. Where did those C3s come Element, that's a great question. I mean, I guess what I would have to do is create a different output mapping setup so that there's 8 discrete targets from 8 discrete sources instead of one source going to all 8 targets, which is the current default. So yeah, yes, I'm sure it's possible. It would take some wrangling. For now, you can use something like Live's expression control, but I understand it doesn't necessarily have all the features that you might be looking for. Okay, so I think I'm going to just put an emphasis on this third shaker, and that'll give me a nice little feel, which maybe I saw someone from Colombia, maybe this will feel a little bit familiar, this sort of pattern, I don't know. Okay, so I'm not loving the shaker, so let's dive into the drum sampler and see what we can do to whip it into shape. First of all, a little transposition, shorten the decay. Wow, it's really, it's a stereo file, I guess, pretty far right. And let's get the velocity going to, yeah, the volume, definitely. Okay, so the filter is sort of going up along with the velocity there, that's nice. But I'd be remiss not to explore some effects here. Maybe let's try some ring mod on there. Okay, I'm gonna just dial the density back. They're getting a little crazy. Okay, so this is enough drums, I think. I just might want to, I realize now, I see what's happening. It's because push is connected. It's getting some weird ghost notes from the soft record arm, it seems. Interesting. Or the converter is on. Turn that off. Okay, so turn around. What was I saying? Oh yes. Yeah, let's duplicate this out, and then on the 8th bar, let's do maybe a little extra hand clap there. With a lower velocity on that one. Okay. So now, yeah, I've got my mic going through, and I think it'd be cool to use it. A really cool way I found to come up with leads, just to get something sort of non-linear going, is to use my voice and the unique cadence of my voice. So I'm going to grab this DFX Lite. Let's get the full version. DFD leads. It's a little rack I made for drift. And I don't know how to get rid of this persistent warning that comes up. I don't know if anybody gets that. The red flag that doesn't make sense. But yeah, okay, so now let's go to the mic. And I've already got an instance of X-Translate on there, which is my real-time audio to MIDI translator. And we can see my mic is coming in here. And I'll want to mute it and set the monitoring to in. And now X-Translate's getting it. And with X-Translate getting my voice, it is going to be available to the leads over here. So what I'm going to do is tell the leads to receive MIDI from the mic and set the monitoring to in and crank my reverb and some dub on there. And it's automatically going to be D minor. And I need to do a few things here, which is first of all, let's pull it up a couple octaves so it's a more in a sort of lead sort of zone. And then the whole point of these racks I made with drift in them is I can just randomize to a new version. And Okay. Did that, let's get a new sound here. I'm not so convinced. Too noisy, too noisy. There we go. Something like this. Yes. There we go. That's working. In a minimal house style. Something's striking me a little too busy. Oh yeah. Ha! When did all those kicks get generated? Nobody said nothing. Well, now it's a little breakdown time. That must have been another... Oh, the converter got reset to C1 and C3 somehow. That must be a live 12.1 thing that I will have to investigate. But it's turned off now, so I don't think that's going to be an issue anymore. I wonder how and why I got reset to those pitches. Okay. That's why I was getting so stressed out there with all those kick drums. I'm just going to switch to a transform mode. And let's just start recording this in. So all those high sort of lead notes, those are coming from my voice. Yeah. So that means I need to actually say some words. But it's coming through. Yeah. So this is going to give me some non-linear material to work with that, you know, it's difficult to come up with this sort of material any other way. Just going to remove this automation here. And, yeah, it's just picking up all those notes from my voice. And maybe it's a good time to kind of look, while we record this, at my return tracks. So by default, I got a room reverb, a hall reverb, a short slapback delay, which I'll throw on the drums just for a second so you can hear it. No thank you. And of course the dub here. And you'll notice, before the dub and the hall, I've got a pretty steep high pass, ensuring that we don't receive any low frequencies that might compromise or make the output muddy in a way that I find unpleasant. So I think, yeah, 40-ish bars of these leads should be sufficient. Okay, nice. Of course, always the first thing I say again after stopping record is giving me the ideal sound that I want, but I'm just going to stop monitoring that and start listening to the leads we've recorded. Okay. Yeah, I think we're fitting the minimal house client brief on this one. Okay. I don't see the in out anymore. And again, what I love about this is the non-linearity. So what I'm going to do is maybe shorten it to a slightly less regular interval. Actually, I'm going to duplicate that to a new version. Alright. And let's select all of these and just drop the chance down a bit. And then I'm going to go to my Octavator MIDI tool I developed. I'm going to set the floor to 0, so it never randomizes below the octave I recorded. But there's a 50% chance each note will be randomized up 1, or should we do it? Yeah, I'll go even up to 2 octaves higher. Okay, still a little busy easy, so I'm going to drop the chance down. Okay, so I think being a minimal house jam, we might benefit from some kind of pads. So yeah, we've got the pads rack here. Why don't we just go with that? Fun trick that I love, that many of you are probably aware of, is to grab just a short loop of sustained MIDI, and so long as the loop ends before the notes do, it will play continuously. So here's a funny quirk that still is not updated in my, well, I have my default MIDI track set so that the volume should be at -7, but when I track instruments in from the browser, they come in real hot up at 0. So that's something I was hoping to be addressed. Okay, so let's get something, yeah, a bit. Okay, I'm gonna just pause those leads for a minute. So I just want the sustain pad to create some atmosphere. Some tension maybe. And I want to add some sort of vintage pitch modulation. And a fun way to do that, in fact, is with the reverb size, as a matter of fact. So I'm just going to grab this reverb. My default instance has it quite long. And it's important that I set the smoothing here. So you can hear those variations in pitch as I adjust the reverb size. And I want it pretty wet, but not all the way wet. And now what I'm going to do is grab my my LFO X Pro and grab the glider, which you can set to like let's do a 3-bar rate, 3 bars divided by 2. Yeah, cool. And I'm gonna map that to the size, and I need to reduce the modulation amount quite a bit. So it's happening a little too often. I'm going to set that to 5 bars divided by 2. And it's still a little too much modulation. And yeah, dial it back a little bit. Nice. That's working. Very subtle what I've done there, so it's just going to be occasional sort of perturbations in the pitch that just provide a sort of nostalgic vintage sense of like tape drift or unease. I guess there's other ways you can do this with the vibrato effect, but in fact, actually, let's just check quickly, because I think that the reason I've opted not to do that, it's tucked away in the, yeah, it's only offering a sine wave, and I want an irregular modulation, so that's why I went for the glider there. Okay. Nice. Okay, so yeah, we're approaching having maybe even enough elements here to do a track. Speaking of vintage tone on here, why don't I go ahead and grab our errata free distortion effect that I recently released. And oh yeah, that's adding some dusty crunch. It's yeah, it's working for me, but I'm gonna bring the error down. I guess it's just surface there. Nothing should be touching that. But anyway, what I want to play around with is the disrupt. And this is just adding some crackle, some crackliness, which I can further sort of rein in by putting it through a high pass filter just on the distortion circuit. And I can dial it back a little bit with the dry wet as well. Okay, cool, that's enough texture on that. I might go wild in a breakdown and like really bring the disruption into play. Let's see how we feel and what we have time for today. What's next here? I think it's time to use another one of my free devices here, the DFX Lite, and I'm just gonna randomize a few times, and I want to just create some random sounds here. Make sure it's like a 2-bar loop. And this is for creating sound effects. And yeah, great, perfect. So I'm just going to start recording these as I randomize. I'm going to record them as audio. So yeah, just create a new audio track. Command Option I. Grab the DFX Lite. Okay, cool. While it plays, I'll start randomizing. Okay, that's a bit of nothing. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to chop these up and use these as sort of like dub effects to pronounce different segments of the arrangement. And that's probably enough. Okay, whatever, yes. More than we have time to go through and edit. And yeah, I don't need that MIDI anymore. I'm just gonna use this audio. And yeah, I have 2 more things I'm going to do before I think it's time to start maybe arranging this a little bit. So I'm just going to yeah, select some of these. And let's go to the audio and gain it up. There we go. Actually, I'm going to normalize it. Hey. So glad to have normalization now, so I'm just going to be way too loud, but yeah, now I can sort of scan through and find the different segments. Nice, that's useful. Duplicate here, and that's the same. Yeah, that could work. Okay, duplicate. So I could rename these FX1, FX2, FX3, for example. Zum Beispiel. And yeah, let's go here. Yeah, why not? Yeah, no, you know what? That's kind of not really doing it. That is going to work. And I think if we reverse them, they're going to work just fine too. This one got crazy loud. What the hell? Let's try it. That's too scary, too horror movie. That's not what I'm going for. Okay, that's fun. That's a little like friendly alien noise. We like a comedy alien in our minimal house. I don't know about. I mean, I guess Halloween is coming up soon. Okay, and again, this is just for randomizing the VFX, and now I've got this selection of sounds that I think Okay, I'm going to finesse these these later in the arrangement, but I think that's enough. So what I want to do now is go to their launch settings, and I'm going to say, I'm going to turn the looping off for all of them, no loop, and then a follow action to play a different effect sound, unlinked. So play once, and then at 8 bars after, play something different. Okay. Now I need to go and add some fades in the arrangement. I'll do that later in the arrangement. Okay, let's see which one is selected next. Yes, FX5 queued up. Okay. FX dubs. Okay, something's cooking up here, gang. I need to collapse the wave function on our chords, but I think there's one more element I want to add here as I try and dial these in a little bit. Let's get a little equalization on the low frequencies. Normalize, they're so loud. Okay, yeah. So we've got our sort of plastic percussion congas here, these syn percs. What if we had a real conga loop? Okay, but it's a little vanilla. It's kind of conflicting with the keys a little bit. So I'll just sort of pause those. So yeah, let's go ahead and normalize. I don't know if that's really best practice, but what I want to do here is get a nice short transient, and it's sounding a little too standard conga to me. So I'm going to shorten the length. So we could do like a hemiola, 3/4. But 5 might even be cooler. We're gonna go one extra. So now we're looking at 11/8 notes. Okay, and now I want this to sound a little more interesting. So I'm gonna grab one of our X effects, which allows me to where is it? Xcomb. Okay, let's just look here. Directly. Huh. Yeah, it says it's in the spatiotemporal. What do you know? Okay. And so I want it to play in D minor, so I'll go up to a D. Okay, now I'm going to tune it down. Maybe even one more. Yeah, that's starting to work. Let's try the new saturator on there. Sinoid fold remains my default. I'm a big fan. So we can automate, modulate the feedback or feed forward, but the whole concept of the XFX series is twofold. The effects are constrained to the current scale and key, and you can even play them via X Relay, a device I'll get into probably in a future one of these sessions. And then the other unique feature besides playing it via notes in the key and scale is that you can say only trigger the effect above this threshold or below the threshold or above the crossover frequency or below the crossover frequency. Anyway, let's go with the threshold there. I like how it's sounding. So the X comb is only applied above 33. Totally going off camera there. I noticed now, rookie mistake. We'll get the hang of it eventually. Okay, cool. Those are working. Should I transpose it? Now we're gonna get into X Relay another time. We could just like randomize the X comb. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just go to our let's go to the LFO Pro and set it to our random mode. And let's randomize every 2 bars. And we'll go ahead and map that to the note. And I'm going to reduce the number of choices here. And that's way too high. So I'm going to set the modulation range quite a bit lower. Yeah, why don't I just make it negative? And then put the default. Okay, I see what's going on. And those notes are staying in the D minor scale. Sorry, I just get excited about this stuff. Love it when a plan comes together. If you put a little smoothing on there. Give it a couple more choices to choose from. 7. So that means it can randomize to 7 different random values. Okay, I want to get a sort of mid-range synth percolating here, collapse the keys into a few different segments we can use, and then it's time to arrange this, because we have limited time, which is the beauty of these sessions, right? I gotta work fast. Okay, which means I should probably shut up. What was I doing? Oh yeah, let's go ahead and drop a pattern engine over here. After I save, always a good idea. Okay, pattern engine is a great way to just quickly generate patterns. What do you know? That kind of unfold over time. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to grab a D bass. And I already have a bass instrument, so I'm just going to make sure that this is playing at a higher octave. Okay, I think we're back. Looking like we're back. Okay, so I actually want this up another octave. And I kind of like how some of this is going. I want this higher note here to kind of move around. So I'm going to set it to control it's not working for the vibe, everybody. This is how it goes. Sometimes you try ideas and they don't work, and they even maybe mess with your stream buffering. So it's just too busy. I'm gonna stick with the minimal vibe. We'll explore Pattern Engine another day when maybe we're doing something more techno. Right, okay. So last thing to do is I talked about collapsing the wave function on these keys, right? So I'm going to go ahead and map these to macro 2 and make sure we can see it. So there are two ways to do this. And I think I'm going to opt for doing this as take lanes. So I'll create a new MIDI track, which has some stuff on it by default that I don't need or care for at this point in time. The point is to route it from the keys and set that to record on. And you know, I like to work in the session view because it's less committal and I can just throw ideas at the wall and start building up an idea without worrying about what goes where until it's time to worry about such things. So what I'm going to do now is, yeah, that track is armed to record. Very good. I need to arm the arrangement to record. I need to go back to the start. And let's see if this is working. Yes, okay. I need to intercept it. There we go, for the right input. And what I need to do also is enable the take lanes with the loop brace active. So let me just do all of that over again. I missed one step in the process. And I have to stop and start again. I mean, I could move the loop brace around probably, but I want to make sure that I catch within the loop brace. So these are the chords coming from the keys track. And now the lanes are being populated from the sort of randomized output from the exponder. I can reduce the density to get some variations going. Okay, that's enough because now I need to sift it, which is going to be a little tricky maybe. So let's just go and focus on these important elements now. So what I'm going to do is option drag the operator to the MIDI track and record it into, and just deactivate that whole rack. So now we're listening to these keys here, which I just want to hear, I think, with the drums. Okay, so I don't like that first part of the first bar, so that's fine. We can go and try and just sort of select a section from one of these other take lanes. That's kind of working. So yeah, now we're going to go and right-click that selection, consolidate time to new scene, and it's going to stop audio because there's some other material in there that is unwanted, unnecessary, and contains some audio. Yeah, so it's important that I'm just focusing on this MIDI so that I can keep jamming away without audio stopping, and there we go. Here's operator keys 1. So I'm going to do this a few times. The purpose being to extract some intelligible loops, because, you know, it's great to have the randomized exponder output just bubbling away. But at the end of the day, I think most listeners prefer some repetition, maybe not complete repetition. So now that's the one where I scooped it up on the transposition. I don't know if that one's working. Let's try this one. Okay, I'm not convinced with this section on that one, so let's just, there we go. Hey, magic is happening. It's coming together. Consolidate that time to a new scene. Double check it's there out of my OCD paranoia. Totally unnecessary, but I've heard it said that OCD saves lives. Okay, let's try this one down here. Amazing. Okay, so actually what I want to do is, too high. Do something a little more considered, copying some of these different segments together. And, you know, this is the whole reason I created tools like Exponder. I'm never in a million years going to play those chords like that, but I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of loving it. So I'm going to stick with that one. And listen, we're short on time, so I'm just going to do these 3 versions here. And it's time to start pre-arranging this. So what I like to do is, rather than find myself stuck in the arrangement, trying to think my way through what comes in where, what comes in when, what happens next, which I find, you know, some people are really good at that and it works for them, and hey, if it works for you, power to you. That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm not blessed with that skill. For me, I prefer, as anyone who's watched my video courses might know, I prefer this idea of recording and jamming in real time, harnessing what I feel is the power of Live's non-linear session view. So to do that, I need to, first of all, create a few variations of this parent clip, the drum rack, because I don't want all the drums all the time, and I'm grateful that you suffered through that for the last hour and a bit. So I'm just going to go through here and select all of these tracks and hit the 0 key on those. And yeah, we're just going to start with our kicks. And I'll rename it accordingly and duplicate that. And now I can go ahead one by one and reactivate, re-enable these. So I think that maybe we're going to want to have maybe just the closed hats, not the open hats that are occasionally trading off, just the closed hats. And maybe the rims, rim shot. Okay, we'll call that hat rim out of, you know, just lack of creativity here. Focus my creativity on the music, not the clip names. Okay, duplicated that clip again. And yeah, it's time, I think, for a little hand clap and open hat. And we'll call it open clap. That makes sense. And yeah, now it's time to add these perks in, I think, yeah? Percussion. Very good. Okay. And now, last but not least, let's get the snare and the shaker. Now, you'll notice that I've added 2 at a time on each of these. I just find it a little basic when it's like one new drum sound coming in at a time. But yeah, let's see. Let's play around, see how it goes. And of course, we need a little breakdown. So I'm going to go get to the full one, and let's get rid of the kicks, get rid of the snares, get rid of both of the hats. And I don't think we want shakers either. Oh. And yeah, so now we just got percussion, the rims and the synth percussion. And then I think we got to rename that breakdown. And I'm going to duplicate that one more time. And I want like a sparse version to come in maybe after the breakdown. That could be really nice. So let's bring the kicks and the claps back in. And yeah, something like that is going to work. So now I've got this rough sketch of different sort of drum variations available to me. And now I've got that V1 bass. I think I'll maybe bring it in, not at the start, but a little later. Eventually, at an important turnaround, we're going to migrate to the V2 bass with the extra sub note, duplicate that a couple times. And yeah, we can put these back on our original keys track because I liked the levels. So I'll re-enable the instrument rack and just disable the exponder. It's no longer needed, sir. Your work here is done. And I, again, just keep everything color coded. And yeah, I don't need those take lanes. I've got the MIDI already here. So keys 1, keys 2, keys 3. How about that? Mic no longer needed. Got what I wanted from that. So I'm thinking the pads are going to come in all moody like at some point. The conga is going to come in maybe a bit later. I think the leads I'll bring in after the break, yeah? And maybe the pads will come in during the break. And then, oopsie daisy, yeah, we want these all vertically contiguous so that the follow actions apply to one another. And that D-bass was our mandatory failed experiment for the day. So we're doing all of this with 7 tracks in total. So, okay, I've got this sort of prearranged, sketching out, you know, what I think might work for this arrangement. And now, a few crucial steps. Turn the loop brace off. The last thing I want to do is record an arrangement, or what I think is an arrangement, over and over this 4-bar span. I will be very sad if I do that. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. Secondly, I'm going to set the launch quantization to 8 bars to get some nice musical phrasing to all the stopping and starting that I'm going to do here. And I think we're ready. I'm just going to trigger the first scene. Let's see, can I go to session mode here? I sure can. And before I do, I'm going to enable the record on. I have to start with transport with record unchecked because I like to arm the arranger for recording and then begin playing back, and let's do it. And so now everything I'm playing is being committed into the arrange view, okay? And I think, let's bring the bass in. And I realize now, bring the keys in later. Okay. So those keys are obviously coming in a little abruptly, so that's something I'm going to want to probably filter in, fix it in post, right? I'm going to make all kinds of mistakes during this real-time recording. but we're going to land on a track is useful. I think I might even want to start the very beginning of the track with the keys and filter them in a little more slowly. And here we go. It's definitely minimal. It's definitely not techno, so I guess this is minimal house. And I'm just gonna let these things ride a little bit. I see that there's an issue with these dubs, that they're not ending when I want them to, but again, yet another mistake to be fixed in post. Okay, let's go. Let's add the congas and switch to the new keys. Okay, I think those need the pads. Pads and conga at the same time, I think it made a little more sense. Again, fix that in post, mental note, handle it over here. There's the bass line. Bring the other percussion in. I'll be playing with those keys in all kinds of ways, right? I'm gonna do all kinds of automation. Maybe that can be a future live stream session, is taking this track to its eventual conclusion. Okay, time to change up the keys with the full percussion here. Modulating the pads a little bit, automating some filter cutoff and whatnot. As the reverb drifts around there. And I think I'll switch back to the first keys for the breakdown. And I think it'll be a little more dramatic if the congas end there as well. Keys 2, and let's bring the leads in with the minimized. The leads should come in during the break. They should come in during the break. Again, we fix it in post. We're getting a rough sketch. Obviously, there's lots of work to do. So I'm mixing metaphors here, but I like to say that the session view is kind of like your palette. You're choosing the colors. The arrangement view is where you really get in there and edit and put it on a canvas. But I'm kind of mixing metaphors here when I say that I'm taking these colors and now making this kind of slight basic form of an uncarved block to be chiseled away at, to be sculpted in the arranged view, which is how I intend to approach this. And let's get some pass in here with the keys 3. Let's do it. The congas as well. So there'll be some more dramatic turnaround there along with the leads as all those elements come back into force. And yeah, I think we're on time and on budget for this one, gang. Yeah, I'm gonna ride this one out to a relatively normal track length, around 200 bars. sort of minimize it, wind it down, help the DJ with their mix out a little bit. Switch to the V1 bass. Maybe dramatically in the keys with the transposition. That's probably enough for the leads. There we go, real deep indeed. Could have been more minimal too. I maybe maximized it a little more than I originally set out to. But there we go. Hit the stop all clips here. And as the prophecy foretold, a minimal house track in 90 minutes or less served it up for you. Okay, so real quick, couple things I want to change. Yeah, the bass and keys, we're going to filter those keys in, right? These congas out. I'm doing this while it's all fresh to mind, and yeah, I think I want the leads to start there and there. Or they linger after the keys. I can mess with that later. Yeah, and then all these long effects are all starting at different points. So let me see if this works. I want to just, no, I thought it would let me shorten multiple clips simultaneously, but do I need I should know this, but no, that's the shift command's giving a stretch. Okay, I'll get to that later. Just want to remove some of that effects noise. I really just kind of wanted a different effect every 8 bars, and I neglected to. So the issue with those was that I told them to play and not loop, right, with the loop action, but in many cases their end marker allowed them to continue playing past the 2 bars of the sample, which was all I really wanted it to play. Had I adjusted the endpoints, they would be a little more tidy here. So I just create a little extra work for myself. No big deal. Yeah, okay. We have a few minutes for any questions, and then there's 12 of you watching now, I see, and you are all lucky to participate in the first attempted giveaway here. So I've got a strategy for how to do this. Okay, so I created today, being the gigantic nerd that I am, a tool that I called MFA Lottery. Okay, it's just a random number generator, but I added a little extra drama to it. So let's just drop it over here. And yes, drama is engaged, so I can trigger it with a note. Play it in, or yeah, let's turn drama off, and you can see, boom, new random note within the range, and I'll leave drama mode for when we all are participating. So I'm going to leave it in this range of 256. If you want to get a chance to win this week's prize, $20 voucher on our shop, guess a number between 0 and 256 and type it in the chat right now. And once everyone who wants to participate has entered their number in the chat, then I'm going to roll the dice and we'll see what number we land on. And whoever's closest is going to get that sweet, sweet voucher. In the meantime, are there any questions about anything I did or didn't do, or choices I made, or techniques to review? If so, type those in the chat as well. Okay. Got some good numbers showing up. Only 3. Get them in. Nice one, Kozeps. Matt, Funky Traveler, David B. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all a couple minutes to get those numbers in. Let's listen back to what we did today. So obviously, just add that to an automation lane. D-pads are on Gumroad, yeah. So they're on our shop there. It's included in the Drift Kit. So the Drift Kit is our pack of racks I built using Drift that are easily randomized to stay within the sort of specific category of sound there each one is respectively named for, with handy controls for it that make sense for each particular instrument. Okay, so at 7:24, I'm going to roll the dice. I've only got 4 numbers there, but I see 6 other people who might just have it on the background and not getting the memo about the prize number, maybe just not needing the lottery. But I'm excited to use this tool I just whipped up today. It's not that dramatic. It's just like you'll see. Yeah, we did it. Thanks for giving me a chance to push this one through. Almost there, 7:24. All right, here we go. So we got a 42, a 74, 127, and a 69. Those skew pretty low. I did say between 1 and 256, so if it's any number in the top half of that range, it's going to go to David B. So let's switch to manual mode so I can just generate with the generate button. And here we go. 199. David B, the voucher is yours. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to try to reach you through your YouTube profile. If you have some contact info there, I'll contact you through whatever contact info you have. In order for me to find you, I need you to go and add a comment below this video right now. Just say, hey, it doesn't matter what you say. And I will go and track you down. And hey, awesome. Matt, nice one. Peter, cheers. Hello, everybody. This is great. This makes me excited. I'm excited to do more of these. I was just hoping to have 5 people tuned in, so this has been well and above my expectations and totally just like a blast. This tune needs a lot of work, but I think by most metrics we can say mission accomplished here. There's at least the rough outline of a minimal house track ready to go here. And yeah, so David, have you added something in the comments here on the video? Or, yeah, and then I'll go find you through there. And then if you haven't heard from me or Manifest Audio in 24 hours, then drop us a message. So, yeah, I'm sure everyone has places to be and things to do. But let's hear it through the breakdown. Any other questions? Matt, that's so awesome. You have the search filter set up. I just added a Manifest Audio category here for the creator. So you can add Manifest Audio as a creator. You can add a creator tag and then check it here and then search by Manifest Audio or MFA as you've done, which is the reason that I put that designation at the header of all our devices for easier search. And I identification, but with the improved browser, it's less of a necessity, I suppose. Yeah, so the leads, need a little finesse. And I can do things like modulate the echo time. And these are all things that are going to happen in the arrangement. So maybe, hey, quick word of the chat. Would you be interested in a follow-up session on this track and watching how I sort of tidy it up and get it ready for a more shareable format? I think it's about 30 seconds latency, maybe even a minute when I say stuff and when it seems to broadcast. So. Hey, Jeremy. Nice. So, Kozap, so that's a yes to the follow-up session. Okay, I think I'll keep this one as it is and we'll follow it up. Maybe sooner than later. I was planning to do these every 2 weeks because I didn't want to overdo it with every week, but I had a lot of fun, and as was one of my original intentions, one of the side effects I was hoping for these sessions is to actually make some music, which I've been doing sadly less of these last few months and even years, I could say. So maybe, don't quote me on it, there'll be follow-ups in email, but maybe next week I'll do another session where we finish it up, or in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I'm hoping to announce something fun and brand new. Fun and brand new tool. Yeah, okay. Peter, I concur. I think a lot of our tools are about generating ideas, and a lot of the reasons I've designed the tools that we've released is to help me access ideas that I wouldn't arrive at otherwise. But you're right, that's all on the starting projects end of the spectrum. And yeah, let's do a session finishing this track. I'll take you through my automatic track method, as I call it.